Now, they've signed Nkunku and they've signed Nicholas Jackson. What do you make of those transfers?
I mean, I don't know very much about Nicholas Jackson, to be honest. I don't think that he will be our number 9. I don't think he will be our main centre forward going into a season, which really... I hope he is, because I really don't think Romelu Lukaku should ever play for the club again. But I also have a feeling that...
He's young, isn't he?
Yeah, you'd be throwing him in the deep end, wouldn't you?
You would.
And if you think about how Chelsea are shaping up, you know, Chukwuemeka, Madueke, to then go
it's
Jackson...
a young team, isn't it, Rory?
Yeah, which isn't a bad thing, but we're throwing a lot of... You know, there's a lot of expectation on this team.
And the manager.
And the manager. And they really do have to deliver. Like, Chelsea can't have another season where we finish 12th. Like, Chelsea need to get into Europe. So I don't think that you can start a new campaign with effectively a kid. Like, Nicholas Jackson's had one good season.
If that, actually.
If that.
Half a season.
If that.
Yeah.
Like, it really... And, you know, we've seen countless mistakes made by teams who sign players based on one good season. I'll give you a great example. Kepa Arrizabalaga. Kepa Arrizabalaga had one good season. Chelsea signed him.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, and that's not the only one. Like, Nicolas Pepe at Arsenal had one good season. Arsenal splurged on him and it was a mistake.
Yeah.
Nicholas Jackson, I'm not suggesting that he's not going to work. I really hope he will. I've barely seen him play football, to be totally frank with you, but let's hope that he lands. But you'd be doing him a disservice to make him your front runner and give him the responsibility to score the goals that are meant to propel Chelsea into the Champions League spots.
It just doesn't fill me with confidence, Rory. It really does. Are you worried? Are you worried about the lack of experience in this Chelsea team? It's a very young squad. You've mentioned a lot of names there, and they're, 21, 22?
Yeah.
You've got Raheem Sterling. He's got a lot of experience. Fantastic. But, I mean, he's one of the most experienced heads. And what's he, 29?
Do you know why I'm
Do you think
not?
it matters?
I think it matters. I think it does matter. I think the emphasis that football fans and football journalists have there seems to be a propensity to have this emphasis on tomorrow, for the future, the player that they're going to be. And I don't understand why people have stopped talking about the here and now. Like, sign the best player available that will score loads of goals tomorrow. Like, you know, I've heard people when they're talking about, like, truly elite players, maybe Harry Kane. In fact, I've heard people in this very building on talkSPORT talking about being Manchester United fans and saying they don't want Harry Kane because he's 29.
Ridiculous. When especially with Manchester United, because when they were at their absolute peak under Sir Alex Ferguson, what did they do? They went out and signed the best players at their peak, whether it was, I don't know, Tevez, Berbatov, whoever.
Oh, yeah,
they'd have a good
York,
season.
Andy Cole. It was like the players that are the best they can be for today, without this emphasis on tomorrow.
And so Chelsea don't really have that at the moment.
Not at the moment.
They seem to have a lot of potential.
There is one reason why I'm quite happy with this, though, because I think there were a lot of cowardly players at the club. Players who didn't love the club, players who were there as mercenaries.
Who?
Oh, a lot. I mean, there are still some, but I would say that there's been a lot of the team that is just about finishing now have seen off a lot of managers. Like under Cesar Azpilicueta's captaincy, there's been a lot of downing tools over the years. If you think Cesar Azpilicueta's captaincy has been the last 6 years, think how many managers have been overlooked or had trouble with this crop of players. So the young players won't be like that. And I think that gives Mauricio Pochettino a fighting chance.
So in my mind, Rory, you're saying that you'd be very happy if Chelsea, if we talk about the expectations for this season, you'd be very happy if they finish top 4. You would, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I'd be over the moon. I take that now.
If you are
fifth, I take.
But if you are for real, not to quote Simon Jackson again, where are Chelsea finishing? If you are thinking with your head, not your heart.
If the season started tomorrow, based on what we've seen at the moment, based on the squad that Chelsea have at the moment, I think that we're going to do really well to finish 8th.
I agree with you. Yeah. I think
we're all over it. I think we're average as well. And the problem that we have, which is a relatively new problem to the Premier League, because when I was relatively young, you had a top 4, and it was incidental what happened, because whether you finished 1st or 4th, you were only ever going to finish top 4, because there were 4 big clubs, there were 4 places. So, okay, there was some jeopardy around you finishing 1st, 2nd or 3rd, but there was no jeopardy around you finished 15 points clear of 5th. Whereas now, okay, you've got an additional place, which really does help. You've got 5 spots. But there are probably now 7 or 8 teams that genuinely believe and genuinely have a chance of finishing in the Champions League places, and Chelsea are one of them. But they're by no means the front runner.
No, they're not at all.
But what we should be talking about is Chelsea launching a serious bid for the league, and that's just impossible.